William Benton Scranton was born in 1856 in New Haven, Connecticut, USA. From birth, he attended the First Methodist Church of New Haven. In 1882, he graduated from the College of Physicians and Surgeons at Columbia University and received his Doctor of Medicine degree. He married Louise Arms, who came from a family of Puritan pastors, and the couple settled in Cleveland. One day in 1884, missionary Robert Maclay visited Mrs. Scranton, William's mother, and encouraged her to consider missionary work, but she declined. Not long after, Dr. Scranton began to suffer from a serious illness.
In early summer, Dr. Scranton had a very bad attack of typhoid fever, and as my baby was seriously ill at the same time, I saw nothing of my husband, who was nursed by his mother. After he recovered, we were driving out, and he said he had something to tell me that might prove a shock, and told me he had offered himself as a missionary to go anywhere except Central Africa. After a moment I said, "Whither thou go, I will go," and after a pause, "And there will I be buried."
Following God's guidance, William Scranton was appointed as a missionary to the unknown land of Korea in November 1884. Together with his mother, Mrs. Mary Scranton, they departed for Korea on February 2nd of the following year. On May 3rd, 1885, missionary Scranton arrived at Jamulpo Port, which served as the gateway to Korea at the time. The following month, in June, he secured a site for Methodist missionary work in Cheongdong, Seoul.
Beginning on September 10, 1885, Scranton converted a room in his home in Cheongdong into a clinic and began treating patients. Although it was not an official hospital, patients soon began to flock to him.
It has been chiefly among the poorest classes that we have done our work, often even among outcasts. The latter have to rely on us for full support during treatment, if the complaints are sufficiently severe to make them give up all work. Quite a good many of the better classes also have been treated at the dispensary and seen at their homes. It is proposed soon to regulate prices, so that the wealthier shall bear more of the burden of expense in favor of the poorer, who shall then have less to pay, accordingly, and often nothing at all.
The following year, Scranton purchased a plot of land next to his home, and on June 15, 1886, he officially opened the hospital.
I had no sign or notice at any time about my place that I am a physician. Patients come from reports of one another, and the reputation which foreign medicine has gained. When I first thought of putting up a sign on the hospital gate, since it became ready for use, I was puzzled to know how to word it. While still pondering it over, my teacher took the matter out of my care, and had the following put up without my trouble. On one post, in Chinese characters, and also in Korean, it stands American Doctor's Dispensary. On the other post is a most startling statement: old or young, male or female, everybody with whatever disease, come at 10 o'clock any day, bring an empty bottle, and see the American doctor.
Later, Emperor Gojong bestowed upon it the name, Sebyungwin, which in English was rendered as the Universal Hospital.
And a few weeks later the hospital was in like manner remembered. The hospital name is rather difficult of translation, but we have concluded to call it in English the Universal Hospital, that more concisely expressing the Chinese characters. Its meaning is that all sorts of benefits are scattered abroad, that all sorts of disease are healed, and that the poor and sick are fed and clothed. We think that even in this short time these marks of government favor have brought forth good results. We have much more respect shown us, and a greater opportunity for doing the good we desire from the greater trust they put in us.
Although Scranton treated many patients at Sebyungwin in Cheongdong, it was not easily accessible to ordinary people. He desired to be among the suffering rather than remain in a place of safety. Moved by this conviction, he began planning the establishment of a Good Samaritan hospital outside Seoul's city gates, aiming to care for those who had been abandoned due to infectious diseases and others marginalized by society.
The other departure of our work is the opening of a hospital home for the refuge of outcast sick. I earnestly trust your hearts will be turned to this matter, as mine has long since been. Inestimable good can be done here, and at a comparatively small cost. It is considered a very unfortunate thing for a house in Korea, for anyone to die in it. Hence, when the servants are taken with a malady likely to prove fatal, or have any of the infections, or contagious diseases, so rife here, they are sent away outside the city to live in strain, tents, alone, and deserted, or perhaps, without, even the shelter that these very poor tents afford. I make no doubt that a large mortality results from this exposure alone. Without such kindly care as should be given to the sick in the way of nursing, they are even thrown to charity for support, and in a land as poor as Korea, this pecuniary charity must be very inadequate. In going outside any of the gates of Seoul, you will find hundreds of these deserted outcasts at any time. We desire to erect or purchase, if possible, a house in some one of these specially infested localities, where we can afford these shelters at least fuel, when the time of the year demands it, and food, and medical assistance. It would not be so wise to have these cases brought to our general hospital, on account of the nature of most of these diseases, and, 2, it will be cheaper in the end to have these cases visited by the doctor than to have them brought individually to us.
Scranton put his Good Samaritan hospital plan into action by establishing several dispensaries outside the four gates of Seoul. Even in unsafe conditions, he remained devoted to caring for the sick. Among the fruits of his labor were the Baldwin Dispensary and the Baldwin Chapel, both established outside the East Gate. The Baldwin Chapel eventually became Dongdaemun Church, which played a key role in the evangelization of the Dongdaemun area. The history of this church has continued for 135 years. The seeds of devotion and the gospel sown by Missionary Scranton have continued to grow and bear precious fruit through Christians in both the United States and Korea.